I've been looking at quotes made by politicians over a number of years, and what I find is that quite often is they make quotes, but once they've made them, they can't unquote them. So I've noted this down very carefully, what they've said, and I think it's worthwhile just listening to what they have had to say. First of all, I would just like to say that you see a politician, Danny Alexander, spouting forth figures, but really and truly, he's handed the script and he comes out with these figures. He's just a puppet, and his Tory masters pull the strings. He's had no life experience in producing these figures. He is, as I say, purely a puppet. And this goes for the bulk of the UK politicians that I've come across in my lifetime. So anyway, we'll move on to the various quotes made, recent years' quotes. We'll go back to 2007. David Cameron wrote in the Daily Telegraph, "There was no point in trying to keep Scotland within the Union through fear of economic consequences." Now, where is the man's integrity? Because that's just what he's allowed to do, be bombarded with scare stories and lies to try to discredit what he in fact said himself in 2007. That sort of thing makes me sick as far as politicians are concerned. Then also in 2007 he came out with another statement which is very much the same. It would be wrong to suggest that Scotland could not be another successful independent nation. 2007. Then in 2008, it was in the House of Commons, this was Alistair Darling. He admitted that Scotland's oil revenues had been underwriting the UK's failure to balance its books for decades. That was the 29th of May 2008, and that was being recorded in Hansard. Now, jump a few years now to 2012. Alistair Darling said, "Now our case is not that Scotland cannot survive as an independent nation." Straightforward there. Then also in 2012, Lord Nigel Lawson, former Tory Chancellor, he entered the fray and said Scotland is perfectly capable of being an independent nation. There are many more independent countries in the world which have a lot less going for them. And that's pretty straightforward. Then in 2013, 10th of January, on Newsnight Scotland, this is worth remembering, this 10th of January 2013, Alistair Darling said, "If you have independence or separation, of course a currency union is logical." A year later, he said, "A currency union is dead in the water." This, of course, is just a scare story. Changed his mind, said the very opposite. Can you trust the man who is leading the Better Together campaign when he says the opposite in 12 months, which is a vital, important issue in the whole debate? Then finally, I think, among all the lies that's coming out in the scare stories, sometimes you get a glimmer of the truth, quite more than a glimmer. And on the 2nd of February 2014, this happened. It came from that pillar of the English establishment, the Financial Times, which says, "Immediately on becoming independent, all Scots will be 11% better off. This works out at £1,321 for every man, woman and child in Scotland, or £5,812 a year for the classic family 2.4 children." Financial Times, 2nd of February 2014. Now, I think that has exposed just how false politicians can be. And the truth is, as was obvious from these remarks, that Scotland is more than capable of standing in its own 2 feet.